Okay, everybody, welcome. Alec is doing an overview of some things that we've been talking about a lot the last couple months, and it's going to be about AI. So, if you're looking for a different topic, this is not the session to be watching. So, we're going to go ahead and we'll just start it. We'll just go ahead and start it off. So, Chris is the person who created most of these slides, but
So it's all
these
my fault.
yeah,
Exactly.
everything's his fault, but at the same time, I will tell you this is not just about the slides. The slides just kind of try to keep us on topic. Okay, so we'll start there. So Chris, take it away.
Sure. So welcome. We're going to talk about AI, not Al, which is one of my colleagues pronounced was like, "What's this Al we're all talking about?" So that little sans serif there messes some people up. So AI tokens and behavioral accounting. So tokens, they're exactly that. They're a token. They're a basic unit of measurement or learning unit for AI is what you can think about. A conversion, and it's basically a conversion of user inputs from text, numbers, sequences, images, audio, whatever you put in to your prompt, and then it turns it into some sort of nominal numerical sequence that the AI can understand. I'll call them identifiers. Those identifiers are then used by AI to create pattern recognition. And then it compares those patterns to those patterns it learned during its training, and then the AI picks the patterns that most align with the correct responses in training. So as it goes from that positive feedback it received while it was built and while it was trained, and what was the highest probability to a favorable response. And then it converts that AI output from identifiers into your desired medium, whether it's a text, a number sequence, an image, or whatever you wanted that you requested. And sometimes it does this correctly, and sometimes it doesn't. Uh, so it's all about probability. So it just goes from there. And then the next thing you have is you also have that, remember that machine learning is sort of a reminder for everyone is that machine learning is based on statistics and probability, not intelligence. It's all about looking at what whoever developed that AI, how did they go ahead and say this is a correct response and the number of times so that human behavior to indicate that this was correct.
So one thing to point out real quick before that is
Mhm.
when you see any kind of model that has a number other than a version in it, so a lot of them have like 20B or 100B. Those are the parameters that that particular model was able to be trained on, which is why models with higher numbers of parameters generally have the ability to be more correct because they have that many parameters that they can
Mhm.
compare for that pattern matching that Chris mentioned.
Exactly. And also token size is not standard. So what you'll see models that typically models with higher number of tokens are I would say more likely to be accurate, I guess, to be have a higher probability of having a probability associated with a positive result. How's that? Uh,
And
so
we'll just jump in here because Deanna like put a comment in in the chat. So Deanna, do you want to make that? Do you want to make that comment? Go ahead and make that comment for us here.
Oh yeah, when Chris was talking about how accurate the response is, it definitely, I mean, I'm bilingual, so when I have talked to several bots in English, it actually gives me a better quality response versus Spanish. The thing is with creating images that have like little pieces of text here and there. The English is actually spot on. The Spanish is horrendous.
And we've done that in a former elk thing. Remember when we checked German and Chinese versus English and it was not the same. And I will tell you, one of our friends, Rob Bonani, who's a native Arabic speaker. Like about 2 weeks ago, there was an AI that came out in Arabic, and I immediately got a text from her, and she's like, "There is now an AI in Arabic." She was like, "I am so excited." So yes, everything that we're saying, once we spread out past English, um, there's a lot of
Yeah.
more different variables here.
Well, and the thing is, like a lot of these bots were, created mainly in English. So the
Hmm.
cultural context and linguistic context is not there either. So it might be speaking Spanish, but it's not how we Hispanic speakers actually would say it or would understand it either. It's like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, and that's when we were doing the comparison to English at that meeting a couple meetings ago. There were idioms that were there in English that were not there in the other languages. Like they skipped the idioms. So
Hmm.
the AI, if we're gonna go, like humanizing the AI, um, it was not as chatty in languages other than English.
Sure. So how does tokenization work? So this is from AI Tokenizer. And what you do is you just type in your text in this case. So I just typed in the title of our presentation, and it went ahead and shows how it breaks out, how OpenAI will break out your prompt tokens. So each color segment here indicates a token. So notice, as we talked about, said a little earlier, the tokens aren't the same. They're different lengths. It's interesting that some words will include a space ahead of them. And then they try to chunk out words here. Sometimes you'll see it chop up the words. Every AI is slightly different in how they handle this, but really that's what these tokenizers do, is they show you that this is how you're breaking up, and each of these color segments, they're not related to the purples are not related to the other purples. The greens are not related to the other greens. The yellows are not. It's just simply letting you know by shifting these colors is that AI is its own token. So it'll have a unique identifier attached to it. The comma will have a unique identifier attached to it. And then the next set of letters or numbers, then the next set of letter, etc. And it just chops it up. And so this is how it works, is it's just breaking everything you down into a common unit. Now, that does not mean, like I said, it's an equal unit. So it's not like, it's not like the old phone plans. We get charged by the minute and everyone's minute is exactly the same. No, the tokens are slightly different because they're unique. And let's get into pricing, because that's where it's all leading anyways. Yeah, no, just get into it. So basically, with token-based pricing, it's very similar idea of software as a service. So you can get a fixed monthly stipend. Think of like a free account, where you receive a fixed amount of tokens every month, and they'll let you stack them up to a certain amount, and then they won't let you go over. Others allow you to accumulate and go over and have an indefinite amount of credits if you never use them. They just add up every month. Then you have a subscription model, which a lot of us are familiar with, who use any sort of software license. Is basically you can purchase a single or tiered amount of tokens based on your expected use, but sometimes the amount of tokens will be fixed for each tier, and you don't necessarily have the freedom to jump from tier to tier depending on your setup and what your agreement is. And lastly, probably the most common you're starting to see now is a flex price, which is you pay a tiered subscription of this is what I expect to use. But if for whatever reason I end up needing more tokens than what I originally paid for, I can go ahead and adjust that as needed. So it's like buying extra minutes or buying extra data. They're basically applying the same concept here. Like I said, but the key thing is like there's not a consistent unit. So really, really simple, clear pricing, right? Everything here makes sense.
No, no. So the thing that we talked about earlier, Chris, is
Hmm.
you said there's no a kind of common definition for what a token is, right? Well, there's also no common definition of how any of these models define that limit of tokens. And the reason for that is because and some of these I know, like the Gemma model used by Gemini, only counts input tokens as tokens, whereas OpenAI models count input and output as tokens. And so when you look at these, like you're looking at Claude 4.5 Sonnet, um, you're looking at $3 per what is this per million
Mhm.
Yeah,
tokens,
for
right?
millions of
And so,
tokens. Yep.
and each of these may tokenize things differently. So back to
Hmm.
that slide where we had AI as a token, the comma as a token, and then pretty much each word as a token.
Hmm.
That may be different for Claude versus Gemini versus GPT 5.2.
Hmm.
There's so much that this table just obfuscates, and makes so confusing for the end
Hmm.
user. Other than that, Grok is at the bottom and the
Yeah.
cheapest because we all know don't use Grok.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I'd like to
Friends
say,
don't
like,
friends don't let friends use Grok. Yes.
so talking about this for us here at the e-learning consortium, some of us are educational technologists who might be making recommendations on what, like, what model do we get? What kind of pricing do we have? We might be learning designers. We might have to be making the request going, no, I really need this to be able to do the kind of work that I need to do. Or we might be teaching technology, we might be teaching marketing, pricing,
Hmm.
finance, strategy, decision making, and then this is an extra complexity that would get added to all of our business type classes, because now what's the new challenge in business now?
Hmm.
AI. What's the new challenge in lots of different fields? AI. um at your college, is AI literacy a priority? Are you doing something like, instead of writing across the curriculum, are you doing something like AI literacy across the curriculum? And because of that, this can touch all of us, no matter what our roles are, all of us who are in e-learning and educational technology and learning design. This can be impacting all of us. So for us, this is something we're going to have to get literate and fluent in.
Well,
Hmm.
and the other portion of that I can throw another wrench in the gear
Please,
here
please
is
do.
uh, looking at these models. Do how many of us know what models are good for what purpose,
Hmm.
right? And you think of the common end user or student, right?
Hmm.
And they look at these models, they might just go straight to GPT 5.2, whereas the better one might be Claude or Gemini.
Hmm.
Or if it's a simple thing, one of the Flash models or some models use Turbo. Those names mean they are smaller amounts of parameters they were trained on. They're good at simple tasks, but not more complex tasks that might come along. There are models that are better at multilingual input
Hmm.
and output. There are some that are better at some languages than other
Hmm.
languages. Yeah, I mean this is just absolutely confounding, I think,
And,
to
and
most people.
and it's wonderful to bring in that behavioral accounting part of it. And the reason why it's wonderful, and I find it interesting but also useful, is because people like heuristics. They like rules of thumb. They like to be told, okay, yeah, Claude 4.5 Sonnet, use that one. And then they make purchases and they don't question it. But that's like, if anything, that elk should be, we should be the group that it's okay to ask those questions and ponder and
Hmm.
muse and things like that. I'd even also preface that is that's the reason we're reading some of the books and articles we are at this current point in time.
So, Kay, I want to ask a question because you mentioned AI literacy,
Yeah,
and I want to know what that means because it's a
there are.
buzzword that
It
everyone is
is.
using. We're putting it as pillars of student learning outcomes, but do we expect students to get into the minutia here? Like how granular are we looking to get with what students know? Because understanding, tokenization and the pricing model that we see here, that's a bit much to expect of students, and I don't think we can expect most faculty, to know this and teach it to their students. I mean, this is the realm of a machine learning class or some kind of computer science class rather than, say, composition one, right?
Mhm.
Even those students may use AI to write a paper. So, what 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 do you think AI literacy means in
Okay,
general?
so I'm gonna so yeah, I'll go forward that there's a lot of AI literacy models out there, like different colleges are coming up with them, and like most student learning outcomes, usually the college, the university, the system likes to come up with their own. And okay, everybody, I'm going to say the name of this college, and you can get it out of your system. Giggle after I say it. Ringling College. Okay, everybody laugh. Yes,
That
it was.
Ringling?
Yes, that Ringling. It was.
I
Okay.
wonder what their mascot is. They have so many to choose from.
Yeah. Okay. So they have something that they call the 4D model of AI literacy. I think their model is the best. For me, I think it's the best one out there. There's a lot of different models. I think students have to know which AI to use. I think from a general list of these things, they're going to I think our students are going to have to be able to pick what AI they should use in that situation. Now, in a composition class, I see a composition class giving students a couple different AIs that can help them, like Grammarly AI. Okay, maybe yeah, also some chat, but give them a little chat bot. Like maybe. And this is my bias. Mouse can jump in. He doesn't love it as much as me. Maybe some perplexity comment. Okay, I think students being able to make those kind of decisions. And Chris just wrote in the chat a writer's block bot. Yeah, I think they're going to
I
have to
need
make
that one.
some simple decisions. Now, as far as more, when you're going to computer, I think computer science, you're right, is going to have to know a hell of a lot more. Okay. I think students who are in business, who are in the junior and senior level, they should be knowing more of these because they should be making business decisions about that. I think in multimedia classes, they're going to have to choose what generative AI image generator they're going to use. Also, when it comes to sound, also when it comes to video. So I think I think that the way you pose the question is like, oh, I think there's going to have to be some, and I think it's going to have to be tiered. And Deanna raised her hand, so Deanna, you jump in, so I stop talking.
So, follow-up question from what Brandon said, and it might be you who answer, anybody can answer. I've heard that employers are trying to categorize AI literacy under soft skills. What are your thoughts on this?
Hmm.
I don't think it's a soft skill. I mean, my opinion, I don't think it's a soft skill. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think my opinion would be that, and I'll talk about business and the creative industries because that's my area. I think the soft skills are the things that AI at this point in time cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
And that soft
Mhm.
skills are, if I use the term, is how you AI proof your career.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I'm seeing with some employers is that they're wanting it there and they're treating it like what they're trying to do is they're trying to classify it as like the ability to read and write. It's basically that's where they're throwing the literacy piece to it, is they're like, well, you need to know how to think, apply critical thinking to an AI platform is their intent. But I think that the reason that they're building that in as an essential skill is simply that their expectation moving forward is that every graduate will have some experience with an AI and they will be able to choose which one. Because because a lot of companies will not choose the AI. They have individual champions in there, just like at most educational areas. There are people who just take it upon themselves to explore this area and to even though it might be outside of their normal discipline, but they're exploring AI and they're looking at that and thinking about what's the best way to use it, and then they're sharing their opinions with everybody else. And those that are lagging behind, so to speak, or who might be resistance to it, um, they're looking at how do we go ahead and which one should I choose? So they become that oracle, your local AI oracle, where you go, where do I go to? Which one should I use for this? So you have some different things that's there. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, from ChatGPT, ask the AI what its literacy is.
I mean, so I hate the term soft skills because I think they are extremely important. They're just hard to
Hmm.
quantify, right? And so, what Chris said, you want people to be able to critically think about how AI can be used for a specific subject, a specific task. You want to be able to analyze the output from a name an AI model, right? It doesn't necessarily matter. But those underlying skills are the soft skills that we're talking about, right? Whereas being able to use AI effectively in a job is much more of a technical proficiency that the undergirding is really kind of those soft skills, if we want to use that terminology. Um, so I
Yeah, and
don't.
durable skills is the other one. So like a lot of people
There we
are
go.
moving away from soft skills. They're still out there and people still talk about them, but a lot of folks in my area and workforce, we talk about durable skills. And it's a mixture of what are traditionally hard skills and soft skills that employers have, through a variety of different groups, have worked with employers to identify these key important skills that all employees need to have at different levels, depending on what position they're moving into. And it's a lot of mixed things. So the base piece there is like mindfulness, metacognition, leadership, growth mindset, fortitude, critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, and character. So there's a lot of C's in there. But the thing is like they have all of this, and it's kind of like a Bloom's taxonomy. You have different domains and different levels, and then you have individual skills that align with each of the domains. So that's really sort of what you're seeing now, is sort of an evolution of that thought piece there, where people skill, soft skill, that's all being blurred and blended into a mix of technical skills as well. Your end result is the durable skill wheel that's currently being out there. A lot of that focus is thinking about how do we go ahead and apply that to our courses. So I know that some colleges are now working to align everything that's in a syllabus or everything that's in a course competency to a specific set of durable skills. So it'll have more meaning for an employer.
Why do we use wheels and pyramids as our main visual accompaniment to any kind of theory or thought that we're trying to explain. That's just random
If
thought.
if only Levi was here
Yes.
as our visual representation librarian, he would be able to explain that to
Leave the
us.
comments open and
Yeah,
see if Levi will say
yeah.
something for us.
Well, Levi's not here today, unfortunately, but
Oh, I like that, Chris. We don't want to reinvent anything. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It
Um,
worked for this.
I have one more wrench to throw in that I forgot,
okay.
and then I'll shut up on this slide. I know we've been here forever, but when we think about these models, or when we look at these, when we evaluate models, one thing that might be missing is whether that model is what they call a thinking model, where when you put in a query, that is, again, tokenized, sent to the large language model, pattern matched. You know, it, it chooses the most probable correct next word or punctuation in there. But then there are thinking models that most of the time are they are built so that the thinking is hidden. What I like about one of the tools that I use is you can turn on the thinking, and so you get to see it. It starts talking to itself and goes, okay, I think the user is looking for this, but they also mentioned this other part, and so they might be talking about something completely different. And it goes through these iterations of talking to itself until it comes to a conclusion of what you actually wanted, and then it starts putting in giving you the answer, right? Streaming that answer back to you. And the biggest problem there is those thought iterations that it has are also counted as tokens. And so each little piece, right? The AI, the comma, the tokens, the next comma, like all of the thinking that the LLM does, the bot does, is charged against you as well in some of these models. So
Exactly. Like, are you using a cache system? Are you using a, how are you setting it up? Is it, when we get into some of the models from the visual graphics piece, they start looking at GPU usage to how fast you want to render an image. Yes,
So that makes me wonder, you know how you're talking to GPT and sometimes gives you two different answers and it explicitly say that it is like for training purposes sometimes. Is it counting both? Is it? Oh wow. Okay.
again, depending on model,
Models,
depending
yeah.
on vendor, depending on like there's all the $5 for input from Claude. That tells you absolutely nothing about what you're paying for, what you're being charged
Mhm.
for, any of that.
Well,
It
and
is
it's also the units are up here in text, but then you have all the numeric sequence and it's not continued down here. So this is $5 per million tokens used.
But what I find curious is that we are we're technically helping the bot train itself because it's giving us two different answers,
Yeah.
and we as humans are analyzing both answers and then telling them, okay, this seems to be better based on the query that I gave you, but they're counting both answers against us.
You
And
mean we're
and
being
you're
exploited?
paying for the privilege of training the AI that you're using.
Mouse, go.
Uh,
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I actually want to take a couple steps back into the conversation about AI literacy and
Mhm.
whose job it is to know which one it is. And I don't think it falls so much on the student. I think that should fall more on the instructors. The students are coming to our institutions to learn what tools are best for them to take out into the workforce. And you wouldn't send a student into literature or have them skip literature altogether because they should just know which authors are good to read and what lessons they'll take away from that. Same with AI. They don't necessarily need to know and go explore. Now, I think they need to know, at least have a rudimentary skill in most AI tools and resources, but for each specific subject, that instructor of that field, they should have a pretty good idea. They should be the ones that are more focused on AI literacy and know what is good for their subject matter and pass that down to the students so that they kind of limit it. And I've seen that in at least some courses now where the instructors are saying, hey, we're going to use AI, we're going to use it responsibly, we're going to use it ethically, and these are the tools that I really think are good for you to use this term for this course, and that's what I want you to focus on. And if you find something else, let me know and have that communication because it's still so brand new. There's going to be more every week. But I think it falls more on the instructor than the students know which ones to use in the right situation.
So what you're saying is that this is more implicit forced retirements for faculty, right? Like, because that is like on top of the load that faculty members already have, and we're expecting them to be at this point accessibility experts. They're supposed to be experts in their domain. They're supposed to be AI experts as far as what that means. That just seems true. I'm not arguing with you, Mouse, at all.
No, I know
I
you're
think
not.
it's true, but at the same time, like that's an incredible ask.
Well,
But it's what's here now. I mean, that's what's here, and they should probably do it for less pay.
Mouse.
I'm just kidding. Just
Okay,
kidding.
okay. Yeah. Okay, what I'm gonna say here
I'll
is
abstain from comment. And
yeah,
then
so that's why I think there's lots of AI quote institutes, AI workshops, AI training. I think it's why it's so popular at every conference or anything we ever
Mhm.
go to that it's showing up there all the time. I also think, like I said, us as educational technologists, learning designers, we're in positions where a lot of our influences is institution wide. So, and I know Mouse knows this, that like at the end of most of our initial meetings with people now for course development, I say something like, "Are," and people have made fun of me about this, but I go, "Oh, are you using any AI right now?" And then I go, "Would you like to use some AI?" And you know that this might be something that becomes a normal part of our conversation.
That's how I start all my conversations. Like, hi, I'm Brandon. Would you like to use some AI?
And Chris
And
just
and
typed
that's
in,
just
"Would
going
you like
out to
some AI
eat.
with that?" Yeah.
yeah, I was like, would you like some AI with that? Would you like to supersize your AI? Would you like to have? Would you like the Biggie AI? Would you like the
The standard stable diffusion or XL?
exactly? We're gonna Biggie size we're gonna give you a free
Hey,
Biggie
Chris,
size.
you ready to go on to the next one?
Well, what's interesting about this is that we're already starting to jump ahead in our presentation.
Okay, so
Sorry.
go
So,
ahead
so with
as
the
you want.
cursor, which is totally fine. So this is by a group called Cursor, who has the Composer One AI, and so they nicely decided to try to categorize all of their competition and price ranges, and did not necessarily do this by price. You notice, but they did put themselves as third best for whatever ranking they have.
I think they just did
Maybe,
it alphabetical.
yeah, that's what it looks like. It's alphabetical. Is what it ends up looking like. But what's interesting about this is they have a really good video called AI Foundations, Tokens, and Pricing. And what's hilarious is when you go to the comments of this video, it has nothing to do with the comment, and it's just users trashing Cursor about their pricing model. Like, please don't lie again. Very expensive. I think your caching and semantic stuff needs some refactor. Bro, Cursor is super expensive and tokens run out so quickly. You can't even finish your project properly, which is becoming useless, pretty useless over time. And then the best one, which I'll leave because this is actually from our previous conversation. Brandon, you can say which your favorite is. And
Yeah, I really like the last one here, which says you are the worst company in the world when it comes to pricing. Like, that's a statement right there.
And so it's like that's one of the challenges you have when you leave comments on for your video. But it's interesting that that was like all the 10 comments, and none of the 10 comments are positive. I will tell you that they are all negative. Um, but then we have others that some of us might be familiar with.
So yeah, Boodlebox, I'll just go, this is straight out screenshot. Boodlebox free. Unlimited AI prompts with basic models. And then you get 5 premium prompts per day for free.
Yay!
Yeah, five a day. You'll get your fluency down really quickly with those 5 premium prompts a day. And then
can you figure out what a premium model is? Like, is that like spelled out on their site? Because like that seems like part of what the pricing structure should include. Information.
Yes. Okay. Now I'm throwing up another one. I threw up Lovable. You have free pro business enterprise 0. So you're seeing that. Sorry. I'm throwing
wait,
this
wait.
one up
What?
here too. What?
Can we go back? And this is the other commentary I have. Free. Discover what Lovable can do for you. That doesn't tell you anything about this, right? And the pro, designed for fast-moving teams building together in real time.
But do they have more details? Because sometimes they just have like a
Yeah,
little
actually they
description
do.
and then
So
you.
Chris, if you
Okay.
go a couple
All
more
right.
slides, we can go a couple more slides. I see Playable Labs got in between the 2 Lovable slides, so we'll go back to Playable Labs. But go ahead, go to the next one. Okay, now this tells you what to do.
Yeah,
And
there we go.
yeah. So you get 5 daily credits, much like Boodle. So 5 seems to be a number. Daily credits, premium prompts. So unlimited collaborators. So this is what they tell you get based on the different price structure.
And it's all measured in the arbitrary unit of credits.
Oh,
What
hold
is a
on
credit?
now. No,
Okay.
we
No,
got
hold
a
on.
lot of educational institutions here that use the same model where we break up everything into credits. So
Those
So
correspond to something, and as long as you work in higher ed, you can probably say what a
okay,
credit
so
is.
Chris, go to the next one. And so we pulled the comments from Reddit because when you go into Google now, you get Reddit. So it was really easy when looking this up. And this is a discussion about running out of running out of lovable AI tokens. There is even a video out there that tired of burning through your lovable tokens faster than you can reload them. Here, watch my video. I'll walk you through the process of how to use less tokens. And I checked the comments on this, Chris. The comments were all positive, by the way.
oh, okay, there you go.
Unlike the cursor comments. So
Well, it is lovable. So I mean,
it is lovable.
they're going to be more aspirational comment.
And I do like lovable. Now we're coming over here into Midjourney. Now Midjourney, if you are in multimedia and images, and if you can break past the lock that Adobe has on it, chances are you're going over into Midjourney. Midjourney, and I know Deanna has also played in Midjourney, so Deanna, you just jump in when you want to. The thing of it is, Midjourney used to be free, not anymore. You can test it on this app, and on this app it'll be free for a while. So I threw the image up in there, but then let's look at some of the pricing options that you have. Midjourney plans or subscription, 4 tiers. Now, basic, standard, pro, mega. Now start looking at the things: monthly, annual, fast GPU, relaxed GPU, video, purchase extra GPU.
Your GPO can only be fast or relaxed. It cannot be anything else.
Hey, chill, bro. We talked a little bit about stealth mode, which was on the last page, and like if you don't, oh yeah, it's on the next one too. Everything you do, again, you're paying for the privilege to train their models. Drives me crazy.
And Jessica asked, for any of these, do you get a token bank with a clear number that can be tracked as you spend them, or is everybody just kind of vibe spending in terms of tokens? And I would say that Jessica, that it's mixed depending on what you're getting.
Like typically they'll have some sort of bank or account balance, so you'll see how much you have. What they don't necessarily, not necessarily all models do, is they don't necessarily give you an estimated amount it's going to cost you to answer your prompt. So that is just something you incur as you are going through your solutioning to figure out what it is.
And I love your term, Jessica. Feel free to get on if you want. Jessica, when she puts the question, or is everybody just kind of vibe spending
Yeah,
in
it's
terms
kind of
of
vibe
tokens?
spending. It's like,
yes. Yeah,
it's that
yes,
it's that holistic it's holistic
I mean,
pricing. They're like, I'm feeling that you're probably more like a 30 token or 3 million token result, and this is
and then I'm and Brandon, it looks like you want to say something, so I'll
I
let you
just,
go.
it's when we were planning, we were talking about this. I think I was shaking my head at every slide. Not because I disagree, right? Some of these are facts, but Jessica asked about vibe spending, right? That's you buy 1,000 tokens or 1,000,000 tokens, right? Or 5 million tokens, and you don't know how they're being spent because you cannot predict how verbose an answer is going to be. You can't predict whether that model is going to use both input and output as a measure of how many tokens you're spending. If you're using a thinking model and you don't get to see the thinking, you have no idea how many tokens were spent there, nor how your input or output were tokenized, right? Mouse mentioned it earlier. I Googled Boodlebox, and its little metadata piece that it puts there says, oh, Boodlebox uses 96% fewer tokens than API usage alone. And are things being cut out? Are things being ignored? Are they just using larger token sets to account for how that works? Like none of that is clear. Yeah, so I don't know. It really is vibe spending.
Okay, so Chris, if you'll continue on it through Midjourney, we'll finish the Midjourney thing. Okay, working solo in Discord, you can. Deanna's shaking her head. Yes, because some people want their things in Discord, and they only want to see them, and they don't want other people seeing them. But you can see maximum queued jobs, maximum repeat permeations, lots of different. Okay, Chris, keep going. Okay, stealth mode.
Oh wait, there's stealth mode.
Yeah, okay. Stealth mode is what you think it is. You get to keep your pictures to themselves.
It has really cool angles. It doesn't show up on
Yes.
search engines.
And then you're right, Brandon. Discord is the way that you contact. They're going with a model. We don't have a front office. We're not putting in all this infrastructure. We're going through Discord. Okay, so Chris, keep going.
Yeah, and so like we've already talked about this ad nauseum about that it's an issue of numbers, large and small. We looked at this already, looking at the prices here. Now here's some questions. The unit was dollars per million tokens. How many folks was that apparent to when you were looking at that? No mention of a standard token consumption rate. like we had talked about already. Also, total cost is broken out over several processes. So input, processing, output, which each have different rates and subrates. And again, remember, the dollar amount you're seeing is the dollar per million, at least in this example, per million tokens. Sometimes it's within 200,000 tokens. Sometimes it is other large numbers. And so that begs the question of how transparent is it if your total if you're using a total of 200,000 tokens for one of your queries, that includes your inputs, your processing, and your output is 200,000 tokens. What would be the cost? Well, the answer to that is we can't really answer that because it all depends on what part was used in which area because the rate's totally different. But wait, there's more. The number of tokens needed for the same inquiry will also vary by model and by version. So consumption rate of tokens will vary because some use very small slices to tokenize things, which means they have a larger chunk of tokens to pattern out against, and then others do bigger tokens in size that we talked about. So that's the thing, is that consistency and transparency and pricing is really good, is really an issue. And it's kind of what we saw with a lot of the questions about price and cost. And what's interesting about that area is we start getting into how people react to numbers and how people think about numbers and how people use numbers, then you start getting into what's called behavioral accounting, which is the fun part of accounting. It's the accounting that there's poetry in.
Chris, I think you make all
there.
accounting fun.
Okay, so we will wrap this up with behavioral accounting. Now, why should you care about this? Because you sit on a committee where you got to give people advice and you want to know, and Brandon asks us, oh, is this this different kind of biases? And for this isn't like justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion bias. We'll do something separate for that, by the way. But this is just your basic how do people think about numbers? And if you're sitting with a group of people, they might be doing that heuristic, that rule of thumb. They go, oh, anything that's been recommended by fill in the blank must be good, so we'll do that. It's the kind of biases that come out of that. So we'll go through this quickly. So Chris,
Sure.
Take it away.
Yeah, and so like one caveat is, remember, all AI was built by humans, trained by humans, and human behavior determined which output was deemed correct in that training. And moving forward, once it's outside of the box and out in the real world, that's what it looks like. It looks at. It's like, what did you click on it? Did it look like I get a favorable response to this? So what this means is that all human biases are compounded and magnified as part of the process. And so you get a lot of interesting biases there. So there's cognitive biases, which are systematic patterns of deviation from rationality. You gotta love that, because what's rational for one person may not be rational for another. Significantly affect accounting judgment and decision making, such as misinterpreting financial data. This is a definition of what we mean when we're talking about the cognitive biases. So this is how you're thinking, what's going on, and how does an individual make decisions, and how do they rationalize that decision when they run into numbers, because humans and numbers don't necessarily have a good history together. We're not really good at large numbers. We're also not really good at very, very small numbers either, because how do you quantify 1,000th of an item or 1/100th of an item, or even, how do you quantify 1 billion or 1 trillion? How many zeros? We know it has lots of zeros in it, but we don't know an actual amount or size or anything. So biases do. So easy attribution biases. These are the rule of thumbs. These are the ideas, recent or memorable occurrences. Yes, use your thumb. Easily accessible or familiar information. It could be just things you normally do, like the idea that you only need enough water in your rice cooker. It goes up to the first knuckle on your finger whenever the fingertip is touching the rice in the that are underwater. That's all you need. So examples of this is herding behavior. We all do. Groupthink is another good example of easy attribution. Everyone else is doing it. There's safety in numbers, even whenever there's a threat, because it may not be me, because there's lots of us to choose from. Home bias, conservative bias. You might be really risk adverse. And so you're like, nope, anything that sounds risky, I'm out. You can also be anchoring bias. This is your first impression. Boom, first impression, I don't like it. Or as Chris Evans would say, I don't like it. Basically, the idea is that you're stuck there. So your first impression, your first feeling of it, that's the bias. And then, of course, everyone likes hindsight is everyone. What's hindsight?
2020.
2020.
Okay, but hindsight bias is better than that. It's all the people who, after something works out, they go, "Oh, I knew it would work out."
It's
Or
all the
somebody-
armchair quarterbacks and Monday morning quarterbacks and Monday morning coaches that talk about what's going on and what you did and everything else.
Okay.
Next up, emotionally driven biases. I wonder what that could happen. What could be tied to that? So it's driven by the subject's affective state. So are they optimistic? Are they pessimistic? What's their self-interest? Are they self-serving? There's all these different pieces that come in there where you're getting into it and you're going like overconfidence. And the fun one is escalation of commitment. I've already stuck myself in this situation. I'm already here. So I'm just going to dig myself deeper. I'm just going to keep going. It's, that's what you're talking about here.
And I'm going to say, think about LMS decisions, okay? LMS decisions hit all of these.
Please don't make me.
Yeah, exactly. We've all done LMS
everything.
migrations.
Well, that's a sunken cost. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Or,
we'll have to spend
change.
at least that much for no matter what we do. So it really doesn't matter. Then you have frame-dependent biases. So these are ones that are effects on gains and losses, positive, negative attributions, are dependent upon the frame. So what things does the individual prioritize? Were there recent and environmental issues that are coming up? What are they looking at when you're comparing different pieces? When you're looking at, so like keeping up with the Joneses, things like that. Individuals' exposure to quantitative data. One of the things that they found is that sensitivity to quantitative data decreases when frequency increases. So when you run into quantitative data a lot, some of these initial biases and things will go away because you're always dealing with numbers, you're dealing with these type of decision makings. But what's happening is people are just simply creating larger rules of thumb. And it's like, well, if it's under this amount, then I do this. If it's over this amount, I do this. And you go from there. You start getting into those type of biases where they're more systematic as opposed to individual. And then examples of frame dependent are loss aversion. Nobody wants to lose. Everyone likes winning. We want our orange slices and our ribbons. Primacy effect, recency effect, contrasting effect. Like, what did you get? Like it's all those wonderful kayak commercials when you're looking at the hotel rates and things like that. You're contrasting and you're perceiving the benefit that you got based on someone else's metric.
Okay.
Last but not least, there has to be a K-drama.
So besides us getting ready to be on these AI committees and talk to people about choices and stuff like that, besides that, at least for the content area, and this comes from our ELK conference, we will go ahead and do K-dramas, J-dramas, C-dramas, and anime again. We'll do a session again this year. So Brandon, get yourself ready for the anime portion. Okay. But there is currently a workplace K-drama that is called The Art of Negotiation. You can find it on YouTube. While we were going through, so Chris he has a strategy class. We're going to add some behavioral accounting, especially with AI, into that class. This Art of Negotiation, episode 3 and 4, talks about a negotiation to buy a company, and it's all about the different pricing models. Okay, so we're ending. So we'll go ahead and end it here, but we can kind of have discussion on whatever you want. Also want to say we do have the book club coming up. Yes, we are reading the bleepification. That's how NPR says it when they talk about the book. why everything sucks. Why everything sucks.
Join our book club. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, and it's really good. We're gonna have to make a promo with you talking like that close to the microphone to go ahead and do that. But as we're reading this book, because some of us are reading it like ahead of time, if you look at this, it's written by Cory Doctorow. He has straight in the book. Let me. I'll pull it out. He has a. He basically has. Okay, so here's what happens. First, they get customers. Stage one, good to customers, good to users. Stage two, good to business customers. And then it goes stage three, a giant pile of bleep. So the book talks about what, come on, all these things that used to be good that we liked, that were on the internet, they were great platforms. Why do they suck now? And what is the process of platform decay that happens? And uh, you know, we got to think about that when it comes to these AIs. Is the AIs going to be the same thing?
And the big thing about I'm about a third through the book, and the big thing about this is there is this is a relatively recent phenomenon. Like that is Cory Doctorow says that we have entered a new era, and it is the and bleepocene era,
Yeah.
where every product that comes to us follows this model.
It and it does. I mean, we've seen so many good things become not good. So this is,
Facebook, Twitter.
yeah, no, I mean, do you remember when Twitter used to be awesome?
I was going to say MySpace.
Yeah, well,
There you
yeah,
go.
actually, MySpace was great too. I mean,
And they all make appearance in the book.
and quite
Yeah.
honestly, MySpace was local bands. It was like who's play, who's playing where. That, that's how, that's how I use MySpace. And then Facebook was, for me, it was always but Twitter used to be awesome.
I remember setting up different I don't even remember what they called them, but essentially columns that were your different feeds, right?
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
different
that.
subjects, and so you could scan through them easily. TweetDeck,
Oh,
I
I
think, is what I
know.
use.
Yeah,
Well,
TweetDeck,
TweetDeck is
Hootsuite. Yeah.
it's yet another platform that went through this decay.
Mhm. I know. It used to be, and like, I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'm like Mastodon, um, and then Blue Sky. I'm like, but it's not. I don't see either of them being like they were on during its heyday. So, other comments, thoughts, anything else about tokens, AI pricing, that kind of stuff. I mean, it. I mean, I know it might be a little niche, but maybe not, because we might be the people who end up explaining these to the people to the people who haven't watched the videos or read all the terms. We might be the people helping explain this.
I'll say two things, and I don't think we have time for me to show Open Web UI, but I do want to mention it.
Hmm.
So I run on this little cube I have in the other room, Open Web UI, which is an open source um, user interface, right? That's what UI
Hmm.
stands for. And it's a web application where people can interact with different models that have been open sourced. And this is a way that I can get around having to purchase tokens.
Hmm.
It's a way that I can look at the cost of something as my energy bill probably goes up a little bit when I use it a lot. But I also host my own image generator on this thing. And so I know that I've been kind of negative about this, but it's the corporatization, the subscription model, the making it so your user interface customers versus your developers or API users pay on different scales. It makes it so you never know how much it's vibe spending. Jessica had
Yeah,
it down.
yeah, I
Vibe
think we
spending.
got it. I think Jessica gave us, amplification was the 2023 word. The 2025 word, I think for us is going to be vibe spending. Because, yeah, you don't know and you're feeling good because you're creating that thing that you could never create before. And look at that. So we will go ahead and and wrap it up here.